Hello and welcome to an episode of DPC TL. We have a fresh list of people next to me, which is lovely. And welcome to the podcast. Owen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very good. I've been looking forward to being on this amazing show, and now here I am, ready to go.
Glad to hear it. Avery, how's your first week been?
Very enjoyable.
Yeah?
You know, surprise birthday cake, surprise everything.
Video messages?
Yeah.
What was the most surprising thing about your first week as, like, regular talent? Because you've been on panels before, but never as regular talent, right?
Never getting paid, no. I've done it for free, but...
Oh, you're getting paid?
Yeah. Are you not?
I have to have talks about that, yeah.
We'll get together later. But I don't know. It's very different than being a player in terms of how you look at the games, I guess.
Sure.
Because I get to study the games from a perspective of making them entertaining instead of I have to play this team. And then it's in the back of your mind the whole week going into a DPC match of what is this team going to do? What do we want to do? So.
And when you're a player, you're winning. Sometimes you're losing. When you're a caster or an analyst, do you feel like you're winning all the time?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I haven't lost once this week, so it's pretty nice.
I heard you won a lot of MMR, Ephey.
Oh, I won 60 MMR yesterday.
There you go.
60? Well, that'll be gone
60, a
tomorrow.
whole 60. But then, there you go.
Yeah.
Today, I played this morning. I played 2 pubs before we got here. Guess what I did?
Minus 60.
Yeah. Back to 0.
Was it your fault, though?
Never my fault. God.
Come on, Owen.
Come
It's
on,
Dota
Owen.
2. Is it ever anybody's fault other than our angry teammates?
You know what they say? 9v1. That's me. I'm that person in 9v1. Me versus everybody.
The world. The world.
Everybody's an above average Dota player, right?
Yes, that is true. Actually, for the broadcast, it's true. Because the average, we don't have to hit that high to reach
here,
average.
yes. But every Dota player thinks they're an above average Dota player.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's everybody else's fault, you know? You know what they say, if you could clone yourself 4 times, you'd have the perfect Dota team.
I think if I clone myself 4 times, I wouldn't waste time playing Dota. I mean, imagine all the amazing things you could do if you could clone yourself.
Like what?
I'm sure, I don't know, I've not really put a lot of thought into it, but I'd imagine many more things than being like, oh, I can play video games.
You could live one life with 5 people. Just sub in and out.
Yeah, but would you really be living the life that your clones were living?
You could live 5 lives.
Wait.
Okay.
Do they have the exact same skill set as as me?
Well, it's
They're
a clone. It's you.
So I can send one person off to work somewhere and then another to work somewhere else, and I personally will enjoy my life just receiving
No,
paychecks.
because you would be sending yourself. So as much as you would like to do that, it's very likely and equally likely that one of your clones would be doing the same to you or telling you to go and work whilst they live a life.
I think...
How would you know or prove to the other clones that you're in charge? You wouldn't. There'd be all
Is there an
identical
alpha
clones.
clone?
Well, there wouldn't be, no, because they're all exactly the same.
So you'd have to fight
how
for
would
it.
you? Yeah, how would you do it? And however you would do it, the other clones would do so the same way because they're clones of you. So where would it actually end up going?
That's a very interesting philosophical question. Have you guys seen that movie, The Prestige?
yes, actually.
Where the magician, I don't want to spoil it, but
I've
No,
not
don't-
seen it.
It's
an old
a
movie.
very old school, popular movie. It's a good movie.
It's an old movie, so if it's spoiled for you, like you weren't even going to see it anyway. Honestly, let's be real.
Or you should.
Yeah, so the magician basically clones himself at the end, and for the big trick that he does, the final trick, and then he kills the clone for the trick, really. But the question is the one who's killing it a clone or the real him? Did the real him get lost in the process?
Well, you'd never know,
We'd
right?
never
You don't
know.
know.
You'd
yeah.
never know which of the clones
Just
was
the man who came
you.
out of the box, the same as the one that went in. That's the quote from the movie.
Okay, very deep and philosophical.
Yeah, and then Christian Bale has a twin. And
Yeah.
he's like, oh, my daughter.
How was he able to clone himself?
He
Magic.
He
But-
went he got a machine built for him by Nikola Tesla, who in the movie they made him out to be some kind of mad scientist, and he had all these.
I mean, Tesla
crazy-
Tesla came up with some crazy
He
stuff.
definitely
right?
was. I wouldn't call him a mad scientist, but yeah, he basically.
That was a historically accurate.
Tesla's the one that was all about like vibrations
Yeah, he
and
talked. He
Yeah.
married a
City.
pigeon, and he was in the woods.
and like the whole thinking beyond science stuff, right? That was Tesla, right?
No.
That wasn't Tesla. I think that was Tesla. Was Tesla the one that was obsessed with the number 3?
Was
We're
Tesla-
gonna look.
He was
this
obsessed.
up.
He was obsessed with numbers, right?
Oh,
He was
you're thinking of a movie with Jim Carrey.
Let's dip back to the DPC for a second, because we had a crazy week here too. Because I think we started the season out in Western Europe where we had OG versus Secret, which was a very clean 2-0 in favor of OG, and it kind of set the tempo for the whole week. Ephey, just 2-0s around the clock.
I think OG surprised everybody. I just want to talk about them because when I looked at all of these rosters initially, I thought OG's was the scariest because it is an entirely new team, and they took all of these these players from Div 2, and they took a huge risk, right? They're putting them in Division 1 DPC without the experience that they need, and I thought they were doing something a bit, I don't know, dubious, I suppose, dubious for them. But the results from their series so far is incredible. I don't think anybody expected them to play that well, and I think that's a testament to how the diamonds in the rough do exist, and a lot of teams have tried to replicate that, but they haven't really been able to, right? You can look at Alliance and say, oh, they tried to pick up some lesser-known, younger players, but they didn't get the same effect that OG did.
So here's the question I thought of with that.
Okay.
Which is OG just really good at scouting players? Are they just that much better than every other team in Dota at scouting players? Or are those OG guys just so good that they can bring anybody in and turn them into beastly players?
I'm going to give you a third or.
Or
was Secret just really bad that day?
And we have no idea of how good they actually are, is what you're saying?
So
Yeah.
actually, we asked Puppy in an interview what he thought about it.
Yeah. We did. What did he say about OG?
Yeah, he said, I asked him, how much of that was you being caught off guard by them versus how much of that are they actually a fearsome team versus, oh, your draft was a bit silly, right? They had the mid Grimstroke and the 4 Pudge. And he said it was them being caught off guard, and no, they were not trolling with the draft because they had played something like that in the scrims and it had worked. So it looked bad because they lost, but it's not like, oh, they were just throwing the game. So
Well, sure.
they're honestly looking good. It's not so much that Secret trolled or anything like that.
No. And Secret and Alliance are the only two teams that were able to play 2 series last week compared to the rest of the teams. The rest of the teams only had 1 series. And they actually had to face each other as well, Owen. And that didn't go so well for Alliance, but actually for Team Secret, it did go well.
Yes. No, it was the second game, right, that was really rough for Alliance, right? That was like, what, was it 19-minute GG?
Something like that.
It was a
14.
very early GG.
There was like a 14 or 15. Was it 15?
It was even earlier than 19.
It
It
was
might
a
have been.
bit
I remember it was a
earlier.
very short game. It was like a nothing game. They got completely destroyed, which I think for a lot of people probably was what they were expecting of that series. Maybe they sort of were holding back their expectations because of the fact that Secret didn't look very good in the previous series against OG. But yeah, obviously after we saw that Secret Alliance series, that definitely is more of a testament to OG being very good, that they were able to beat a Secret that in the Secret Alliance game, you're starting to see some of that Secret domination, even with this new lineup that you'd expect from a lineup underneath Puppy.
And we also spoke to Puppy, as Ephey said, after the series, and he was very open about basically anything that we asked him, we got an answer to. And we have some clips for you as well, so that you're also caught in a loop, or you be kept in the loop rather, about what Puppy said about roster shuffles and after parties and whatnot. So let's listen in for a second.
The second, TI ended, some stuff started happening, and a person started leaving. You might retire. Maybe I'm even losing my mid laner too, and stuff like that. All that stuff was out there, and it just became very. I would say shuffles are anyway quite toxic because you can't really approach people nicely about it and stuff. It should be a nice dance where all the people go to ball and they're talking to each other, but a lot of the times talking to somebody else kind of means that you're not believing in one team and stuff like that. It is supposed to be a relationship, but it's kind of weird. It's more like one of those TV shows where it kind of looks kind of toxic. It was a little bit weirder, I would say. I mean, I don't think that much changed, but I think it would have been easier for people to open up and kind of have this kind of because I don't actually know what everybody else thinks, because when people kind of talk around, maybe get a little bit of drinks in them, a little bit fuzzy in the head, they might open up a little bit more, and it's just more natural to do it human to human rather than computer and human to human in the middle computer.
Yeah, he was very insightful. He also mentioned that, well, first of all, you heard him say that he said that he almost lost his mid laner as well, which would be Nisha in this case. He also said that he would have preferred to play with the same roster in this new year as the one they had, which obviously didn't happen because it is like a relationship. If one person doesn't want to continue, they don't have to. That's how things work. But this particular shuffle, Avery, I was hoping you could shine some light on that as well, because shuffles in general are like, you know, they're like mysterious for people that are not a part of it, because all these things happen and all of a sudden there's like all these new teams coming out. Like, is it a toxic environment? Obviously, he mentioned the difference between an online shuffle or shuffle at a TI after party is very big as well.
Yeah, I think it can be toxic. Depends on where you are. I think there's definitely a hierarchy in Dota. If you're a top tier team by most people's general metrics, I think if you're especially a captain like Puppy, or for example, the EG's position, OG's position for a while, these are teams where if you're going and trying to scout players for your team or ask players for your team, you generally have the first say to a large degree, barring your team had terrible results or people don't want to play with you for some reason. So I think that hierarchy works its way down. A lot of the years we didn't see a lot of shuffle, I think, were the years where those top tier teams didn't mix a lot up. And as a result, the dominoes don't fall, right? For a lot of the tier 2, tier 3 teams, your options are dependent on how much of those top tier teams stay together or how much talent is coming up in your scene, which is super variable for region. But this year was definitely very weird. I think it was a lot of just Twitter DMs, random messaging.
Yeah.
Maybe you meet a person once in the hotel room before people left for TI. But some of these teams didn't decide their rosters till weeks after. And so that's very different than the typical after-party environment where you go up to someone and you can judge how interested they are in you, their confidence, their demeanor. Maybe you get along with them in that conversation, maybe you don't. Those were like back in the days where at least when Team NP formed, that was how I got on it.
Yeah.
Was that after-party, talking to Eternal Envy and those guys.
I would imagine that's a normal, a natural almost way of forming groups. it's like, yeah, it's a bit of a high school-esque scenario, I would imagine, where you've got the popular guys. Puppy walks up to you, you want to join my quarterbacks?
I do feel like it's a bit cliquey actually, because sometimes I can't say it from an insider perspective, obviously, but from where we stand and we look at it from the outside, it does seem like there are some people who just get along better, and maybe if there is someone who's a better fit play-wise, they would be overshown by someone that can just bro out with a certain team better, right? And I think some of the teams that come to mind that have had that environment in the past, like EG in particular, right? How close they were to each other is how they formed the team initially. So the question is, how important is that for a team to have that kind of like camaraderie as opposed to like focusing on just the technical aspect?
It's a double-edged sword. The iteration of EG that I think did that the most was the TI 7 or 8. The one they had another 12th place finish. I think it was TI 7. They formed that team on the idea that we want to be 5 boys chilling, all good pals. That was the Sumail, Arteezy, Zai, Crit, and Universe team. And I coached that team near the end of it. They were pretty chilling till we did disastrous to TI.
Right.
So there's a line. Like you can be on good terms with everybody, they can be your friends, but from a competitive success standpoint, it doesn't always mesh that well or work. So you have to balance that out. I think people learned that over the last 4 to 5 years in the game.
Maybe, therefore, this year around Owen, extra important boot camping. Because there was no party to gel with people, so now you gotta see if it works out with boot camps.
I mean, I would say yes or no, because I would imagine, especially in this age where some teams maybe formed, through means that were purely on most of the communication was online, that boot camps might not necessarily make things better. I imagine there's probably a chance that maybe you've been playing together online, you meet up, and then suddenly some real life stuff, becomes apparent, some clashes between personalities and people that actually makes you play worse. So I think for a lot of those teams, it'll be a big sort of testing point when they do start boot camping. Of course, some have already, doing it for the DPC, playing in the league. In this age where teams have been made, where I don't think, you look at all the changes, there's no way that all these people joining teams know each other that well in all of the cases, there's a high chance that you're going to get a lot of teams where there will be a lot of problems once they do start playing alongside each other in real life.
Yeah, we have, I believe, Alliance is boot camping. Team Liquid's boot camping at the moment. We spoke to Team Secret, of course, and they are... It was an impromptu boot camp because they had to relocate Ice and Sumil, and they decided to play from Jordan, and everybody decided, well, I want to go there too because Jordan's a great country. Right, Ephey?
Yeah, that's my home. No, it's actually so random for me to think that Secret are in Jordan right now.
Yeah.
I wonder what they're doing. Are they just like eating falafels
They
together?
right down the street, like you can walk over and you go back.
Just chilling in Jordan. No, Jordan is honestly a nice place to be, I would say, for a boot camp, just because I think the food is really good. And what do you do besides play Dota and eat together, right? So I always tell people I love the food back home. You know, it's delicious. We've got all types of food from around the world, but done very well. You know, it's got that Middle Eastern touch. So good for them. That's what I'm happy for them for.
What's the best thing to eat in Jordan?
The best thing to eat?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about fast food, shawarma, like Irish shawarma that's real shawarma. I've had shawarma in Europe, and that's not...
It's not good. Or
It's also normally, I mean, okay, so in the Netherlands, you've got a lot of
I
shawarma.
was going to say there's a lot of options.
Yeah.
Like surely you must be able to get good shawarma, but you're just saying sort of
There's
the base
different
level.
touches because she says Middle Eastern touch, and I think there's also a difference between every country. So, for example, in the Netherlands, the shawarma we have is mostly out of Turkey, or at least the Turkish way of preparing it.
No.
Whoa.
Okay, to be fair, I haven't had a European shawarma in a while because I've been a vegetarian for about a year, so I haven't been able... But from memory, Turkish shawarma, not even close to like Jordanian or like Lebanese shawarma. Not even close. The way that they do it... I love going to Turkey and eating Turkish food, and I think they do a lot of things better than we do, like kebab and stuff. But shawarma, no, they're just like 2 tiers below us.
Wow, two even.
Hope you're ready for the hate mail.
Yeah, that's going to be
Already flooding in.
about the shawarma. Yeah.
Yeah. For Western Europe, there's not that much more to talk about. At the moment, Alliance is 0-2, Secrets 1-1. And I think everybody's looking forward to coming week because we're going to see OG for a second time, this time against Team Liquid. Liquid, of course, won, but they won versus Cool Guys. So a lot of people were sort of like, oh, how good are they? But I think tomorrow, Team Liquid versus OG will be a true test. But let's talk a tiny bit about Eastern Europe because they also had their first week of play. And previous season, it was all VP won 7 series in a row, both tours in the season. This time around, and they started on a loss.
Oh, did they?
Against Hellraisers, yeah.
Well, let's have a look who's on these teams, see if I'm surprised or not. So it was on VP, they got with these new lab, Pure.
So I think...
Still with GPK's DM.
Yep.
And Elias.
I think the thing that you should be aware of for Virtus Pro is, of course, they removed Save from the roster. So the captain is now GPK. He's captaining from the
Yeah, it's
mid-roll.
definitely quite a shake-up. It's quite a shake-up the VP did take on the change. So I'm not surprised that this roster's not going to be off to a flying start. I think it will probably get to somewhere rather good. You've got to imagine that VP as an organisation, you know, they don't let anybody play for them. You know, they've gone with this squad. They've made these changes because they believe in these players. So I'm sure VP will still end up with a very good placement at the end of the division. I'll be very surprised if they don't. And yeah, Hellraiser squad again, some sort of new names. I mean, obviously, like the ones that stand out to me are like Gilga and Relbal. I mean, Gilga's been on. He's been around for quite a few squads, but he's definitely proven himself in that sort of support role. So. Yeah, no, I think very exciting for Hellraisers. They were able to take down VP, but it doesn't surprise me that this VP squad's not quite at full strength. Yeah, especially when they're as Pure. I've never heard of Pure, so must be kind of a new lad on the block, at least in sort of playing with a pro team.
So Hellraisers actually picked up Watson, who was been kind of a rising name just amongst like pub stars on the leaderboards. And I know that when the shuffle was going around, people were talking about 2 players in particular who they thought would get poached by some really good teams. And 2 of those names were Watson and Space, who is known as Yuragi, who obviously had an incredible debut on OG, right? So Watson and Yuragi or Space, they were just doing so well for themselves just in terms of like these high MMR pubs, and everyone had their eyes out on them. So Watson doing well on Hellraisers is not a surprise to me, right? It's just another new blood, fresh talent who might just be someone who can just push a team or elevate a team to like the next level, really. And we've seen how these younger players have been able to just outperform all of these veteran players. So I'm actually not surprised at all. I do have to watch the series, though, before I can talk about his performance in particular. But yeah, that's the name that stood out to me when I saw this roster.
It's, of course, very exciting to watch Eastern Europe this season because Team Spirit won TI, and I would imagine that shakes up an entire region, SVG.
Yeah, it definitely brings a bit more clout, maybe some more intimidation. People, I don't think we're taking them as seriously before. Now you have to. Maybe they still don't, I don't know. After OG won, they said it was a fluke, so maybe Team Spirit's also a fluke. But
they did start with the win, at least.
Yes, I watched those series. I think Team Spirit still looks really solid. Sometimes you might think, oh, their gameplay's going to fall off, but they're playing the same stuff. Weavers, Banes, Centaurs. Yatoro looks as clean as ever. All of them look pretty good. They're still high functioning, so I actually expect them to come out of that the #1 seed. And I think VP for me, they looked a bit shaky. I think they lost 2 of their most vocal players. DM can talk a lot, and I know the others. I mean, everybody talks in Dota these days, but I think Save and Nightfall were 2 of the more communicative ones. And obviously, part of why EG won in Nightfall was because he is 80% of your comms almost no matter what. That guy will take him over.
Yeah.
So they looked a very different team. So I think they have to figure out how those pieces fit together and get them to work. I think they still believe in each other, but that team to me, the original VP was really 5 guys who came up together. I'm not sure how familiar people are with that team's backstory, but they viewed themselves as the generation of miracles type 5 guys on the same anime path to victory, really close, tight, same generational type players. So whenever you shake that up, you lose a little bit of the magic, so to say.
Yeah.
So it's a different team now.
I remember Save saying, and Nightfall as well, that they were indeed the most talkative during the game and being the in-game leader, so to say. Curious to see how that will develop. Also interesting to note, I think Na'Vi lost their first series against PuckChamp as well. But most of the teams, again, have only played 1 series. It's just going to be a good region to keep your eye out for. And not much changed in a different region, North America. We still have Quincy Crew, EG, and Undying sitting at the top. I'm curious, SVG, are we going to see that change this tour?
Probably not.
Probably not?
Yeah, the truth is I don't think so. I think all 3 of those teams are still a pretty decent step ahead of the rest of the competition. I think the closest that's going to take games off them or maybe come close in a series would be the Zoomers. I think they can find some stride. Talking to some of their players a little bit, I think they are very motivated and they feel like their team has good synergy and they all get along. So that's a good basis to start from. But I still think there's a decent gap just in terms of you look at the veteranship or experience of those top 3 teams compared to the rest of the region, and it's just a huge gap. That's really difficult to overcome.
True. I must say, though, Owen Arkosh almost overcame EG in game 1 of that series.
It was a good game 1. I think a lot of people, it was obviously the first game for Arkosh, first game for EG. It was one of those ones you're going to tune into because you're like, this will be a bit of fun. It's a new EG squad and Arkosh, in the upper division. Let's see how they go. And yeah, I think it was like, for the first good 25 minutes or so, they were keeping it pretty close. And it was like, this potentially actually might work out. I believe that was the game though, right, where Arteezy was on Terrorblade, right? Yeah. So it did get to the point where it's like, all right, Arteezy's on Terrorblade, it's past a certain point that he's going to be able to carry this game. But yeah, it was an exciting beginning of the match because there was definitely, it looked like Arkosh had a chance. So yeah, it was a very entertaining match to watch, and I think both of those teams are obviously going to garner a lot of viewers in the North American region. I think, people are going to be tuning in for EG, and I think more people will be tuning in for Arkosh now after they gave a pretty decent fight against EG in one of the games. I mean, just goes to show, the Arkosh, I think there's very much a chance that some of these other teams in that division, that they could struggle against Arkosh. Yep. If Arkosh is on having a good day.
Yeah, we also have some more information on EG because, of course, after they won, we got an interview. This one was with Crit, and Crit also was able to shine some more light on the roster shuffles.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about it for a long time, obviously, but I think some of us had been talking to Jerix for a while, even before TI, and he was kind of interested in the idea of playing with us. And when we heard of that, obviously, it was very, very simple for us to take that. That was something we all wanted. For Nightfall, obviously, it was a little bit more of we had a little bit of a search because he's not an offlaner, so we kind of had to talk to him about it because we felt like he fit the role well. So we had to kind of. He also had to think about it himself because obviously it's a big thing. He was like one of the best carries at TI, and then does he want to switch the role? But we think we just thought that his skill set as a player, regardless of role, is like what we wanted for our offlaner. So he fits really well for us, and we're happy that he decided to make the switch for us.
Yeah, Nightfall switching to the offlane, and of course Jarex as the +5. It makes me curious though when he says that Jarex already had set his interest months before TI. I don't know. It kind of feels weird to me because it kind of feels, I feel like they knew already that there were going to be changes. And I don't know if you would do that if you still have good hopes for the team that you're with right then. I don't know. From an outsider perspective, doesn't it feel a little odd?
It does. And it's got to feel bad for the players on the team, right? I'm not sure how open they are or were with each other about it, or were having talks with a certain player, if they were just doing it behind like Fly's back, or I'm not sure what's going on. I mean, the teams have been together for a while. Like we've had 2-year rosters, right, for a lot of these teams. So it does make sense that as the results were not what they wanted, they started to have the talks just in preparation. Maybe they didn't even expect to do well at TI, and that's why they had these talks in advance, which it's got to feel bad for the players who get kicked, right? I can't really comment on that kind of feeling. Like,
maybe if you're going to get kicked, getting kicked for Jerax,
sure,
who most people consider one of the top 3 or best player in the world for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, one way to view it, though, my interpretation of that was, I mean, one thing I know for sure is that Crit and Jerax have potentially wanted to play with each other in the past.
They have played an OG on the original roster,
So...
I believe.
Did they? No.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, when they were winning the majors, right?
Yeah. Crit was on OG
With
with Monkey
Moon,
Business.
With
Moon,
Meander,
Crit,
No Tail,
No Tail.
and Miracle.
Yeah.
This was like 5
No, that was
years.
Crit and Fly. Crit and Jerax has not played on the same team.
No, Jerax was on OG. Crit left.
Oh, he left for...
Crit got replaced by...
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
They were...
Oh, really?
And then
Yeah.
Crit left for EG. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah,
Okay,
because they both
my
played
bad.
4.
That's
during
right,
the
Yes,
yeah,
that's true.
But they've wanted to play with. They respect each other a lot, and they've wanted to play with each other before. So the way I view that is, it's not necessarily those guys were going out of their team talking to people. Hey, do you want to replace someone going into this TI or something like that? I also didn't get the sense of that when I talked to them in the interview that I think that team will always go in TI like 100% committed, 100% the belief that they're going to win that year or get to top 3 or do really well. They're not necessarily looking for scapegoats or considering kicking someone to like a concrete degree. I mean, I can't speak for them. Maybe things fell apart super fast. It can always happen. But I think it was more just if Jerax was thinking about coming back, then it's likely he also approached people on his own, and it could have been something from his side in terms of, hey, what are you guys planning for next year? Are you guys happy with the current team? Because as an outsider, you don't know how a team's functioning, right?
True.
And the only way to get information or to put your name in the hat
It's just
is
to
to go to
out
them.
and say it.
Which is also awkward because I'm sure Jerax doesn't want to go to these teams and be like, hey, you going to kick anybody? You know, put my name in there.
Yeah.
It is a very weird thing to do, but you have to do it.
Yeah, it's the way it works, I guess.
Yeah, for me, it's just I had a conversation with someone on that team, and I'm not sure if this applied to the entire team, but that person did not go into TI with high expectations for that EG roster.
Name
So
names or what?
no. Yeah, so maybe there was just some kind of dysfunction happening.
Was this after their boot camp or?
I'm not sure exactly. This conversation happened after TI, so.
Because I know their boot camp was very rocky. So sometimes they had a huge break. You go in, things are going to be really good. But then if your boot camp is really bad before TI, it's really hard to go into TI. You're kind of in salvage mode almost. You're like, all right, guys, we are not in good form. We're behind the meta.
That's why you should
Let's
go to
not get
Jordan.
eliminated.
That's why you should go to
Eat
Jordan.
some good food, have some good times. Us Jordanians will take care of you.
So I
you
think
some
got
tea.
2-0'd in their first match.
Well, not everyone's there, right? Wasn't someone missing?
Puppy was...
Puppy is not there yet.
Someone's not there yet.
So once they unleash the 5 Jordanian superpower squad, they'll come to full power.
Because he has said that he was going to go over and it will just take some time. It was more a spur of the moment thing where Nisha's like, well, I want to go. And then he's like, well, I'll go too. And now Puppy's like, wait a second, everybody's there. Gotta go too. We'll take some time. We'll also take some time before we can start talking about the China DPC, by the way, in case you missed it. They are delayed, or rather they just start later. They start in January. Biggest reason for that, of course, is that a couple of teams were locked in Romania for a long time and therefore still needed to have their break and stuff afterwards. And now it's just waiting to start. They did start Division 2, and it is a very spicy Division 2. I'm very curious to see which two teams will come out on top, because they are definitely also will be doing very well in Division 1. I would imagine the roster shuffle in China was pretty mad, I believe. I do want to touch up on Southeast Asia as well, because that's been a crazy region. And I must say, only watched like 1.5 series or so. And one of the series was Fnatic SMG. Caught the tail end of that, and that was not an even ordeal. Fnatic, I had higher hopes. I think the org generally also has pretty high hopes, but they got 2-0 by SMG. It's a bit sad.
I mean, it is sad. I haven't been able to watch that series yet, just because I've been a bit preoccupied with NA in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
But there were changes that happened to Fnatic, right? They got
Sure.
Armel, they got Hanuel.
Johnwell.
Are you sure?
That was what I heard, but I could be horribly wrong. Don't hold me to pronunciations.
No, but I thought, like, you got Jabs, DJ, and Raven still, so that's some pretty high caliber names. And I don't know. I'm not saying that Mid-One and Moon and Raging Potato are not high caliber names on the side of SMG, but I don't know. I always feel like Fnatic is able to at least fight for the top 3, and in that series, they did not come across like they would be able to.
They did have a rocky year last year, though.
They did, but very much
the
so.
results were very mixed, and they looked really good in their region, but a lot of times at the lands, it fell short of their expectations. I think this squad, you have DJ back to 4, which is, I think, where he should be playing. I personally did not really feel his impact on 5. I think it's a very awkward transition for him, especially on that team. I understood why they did it, but I think this is a better fit for them. I think this team will take some time to find their footing, but I think they'll get there. I think Raven is still a top 3 carry player in the region easily, and that gives you a lot of robustness that you can build around. It'll give you some consistency over the long term.
I would say the same about Raven. I know that there were a lot of Raven critics last DPC season, or tour rather, just because I don't want to say it's his fault, right? But the games that they lost, it felt like the fans were just piling up all the blame on him. So that's got to feel really bad, right? Yeah. Just to feel like he's the scapegoat of that team. So hopefully there can be some kind of shift in fan perception when it comes to that, because there's a lot that goes on in these teams, especially when you bring in new players. And it's always like the start of the season after these shuffles that everything looks the worst for potentially really good lineups.
Yep. I'm also always happy to see some teams sticking together, like T1 stuck together. And and on South America, we actually have Beast Coast once again sticking together as well. Are you happy to see that? Because they're, of course, the team that made such a great run at TI9.
Yeah, I mean, I still think that. I mean, why would you change the roster, really? I mean, sure, they're not winning TI, but they're showing up at LANs and they're, giving some, pretty good showings. Yeah, I mean, obviously, what recently was this TI that they did have that rough series when they got to the main stage and got knocked out. I don't think that's, that isn't Beast Coast. I think they, for whatever reason, they just had a really bad day, really bad, rough Dota. So I'm kind of glad that they were able to look past that and still stick together, because they know that, they can achieve much better than that, and they have done, previously. So, in a region where, you look at a lot of the other rosters and you've had, a lot of changes, a lot of sort of new rosters, new lineups come into play. The fact that they've stuck together, I would imagine, is going to bode pretty well for them. And I think, you could expect to see Beast Coast having a pretty good year, at least when it comes to the league play. Obviously in LANs, it could be hit or miss, but I think there's every reason to still believe that they could be the team that turns up and upsets some of the biggest squads, especially with the amount of time that they have now played together as this unit.
And Thunder Predator, now Lava, also stuck together. So that's another big name of 5 that, of course, they didn't deliver during TI, but they were doing quite okay, especially the first LAN they attended, Ephey. That was a Singapore major. They were able to make top 8 at least, I think.
6.
Top 6 even, yeah, exactly. So they did very well, so they believe in the squad. It's just, it didn't come out of TI. But that's something that apparently all players are like in agreement saying that wasn't us. That was more like the setting. And of course they also just switched coaches. I don't know. Yeah.
They had fear, right? I don't want to attribute too much to fear being the coach, because I think that when they did do well, it was just a really good patch for them. And when we saw them debut on the new patch, which I think was during ESL 1 fall, it didn't seem like they were able to adjust to it. Like, yes, it was the first week after a new patch, but they were playing the same things. They weren't willing to try to experiment a little bit, or maybe just play what the other teams were playing. This was when the emergence of mid-coddle had happened, and they were sticking to their Terra Blades and their things like that, right? So I feel like that lack of flexibility going into TI, or maybe just needing the patch to accommodate them, was what their downfall was. So hopefully there can be a difference there, right? Because that team can do so well when they are set up to do well.
Yeah, we saw that. It's just also always surprising to see a team not change when they didn't do that well, right? I don't know. I think I'm happy that they stuck together, because I do think that they can be good. They just have to indeed understand the patch. And I don't know, is Fear still coaching them, or did they find a different coach?
I believe Fear left. I don't think he's coaching them anymore.
Yeah, he's not.
And they don't have a replacement coach, I guess? No.
They might, but I'm not aware of it.
Not aware of it either. Overall, again, there's only one series played for most of the teams, so nothing too surprising yet in that region either. And then we have talked about all the regions in this DPC TLDR. Anything that happened this week that we still want to mention?
Oh, did we talk about China?
Yeah, we said that they didn't play any games.
I just wanted to shout the Chinese fans out. You can actually watch Extreme Gaming. It has 3 names that we are very fond of: Paparazzi, DY, and PYW. They're actually stuck in Division 2 right now, which I find...
Are they doing good?
So funny. I don't think they've played yet, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's the way that they're doing it. Okay, so we know that the Chinese Division 1 has been postponed to start in January. Are they just playing more Div 2 matches now and then more Div 1 matches later? Or are they going to condense?
Well, I imagine they probably just kept Division 2 schedule as standard.
I'm investigating. Actually, they have played 1 series and they've won it. Aster Aries have played 3 series, so there are teams that have played a lot. Magma has played 4 series.
I have a question regarding
you're right.
Aster
Oh,
Aries.
yeah, I guess. Yeah.
You are very correct.
They are then, yeah, because there was one team, I think it's Aster Aries, that is 3-0 right now. Because they have a chance of course, advancing to Division 1, which is great, Aster Aries, but then they would be in the same division as normal Aster. And I forgot what the rules are for having 2 teams for 1 org at a LAN. What if they both qualify? Talk to me. You know it? What's the deal?
Very gray area. It's up to Valve's discretion, basically. But generally, you are not allowed to have 2 teams on the same org compete at TI.
Yeah. Oh, at TI, but
yeah,
the
I think
major
the rule
is fine.
was like, well, the rule was, I think it's TI.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mainly
They
TI.
yeah.
So they can
like,
play
for
at
the
majors
I
and
think for
try to qualify for
Yeah.
TI, but then at TI it's like, well,
If they
gotta
both
only
get
have
to
1.
TI, they can't be under the same.
Yeah, I mean, the
think
general
that's-
assumption is that an org won't get 2 teams there. I'm not sure what happens if they actually do.
Interesting.
Valve just pre-eliminates one, or they fight to the death for the slot. But
like that.
My question for Aster and Aster Aries is, so Aster swapped out White Album for Ori. Is that really an upgrade? Because yes, Ori is an incredible mid laner, and White Album definitely has shown that he can be right up there with the greats in China, but both of them underperformed so much the last DPC season.
But White Album, you can make excuses for him because he was sick at TI.
Before TI, he was he was doing well sometimes and badly just like Ori. Just like both of these mid laners.
So you don't think they're stable?
Were inconsistent for the entire DPC season. So what you would think is Aster would swap out White Album's inconsistency with a more consistent mid laner, but they got Ori, who also flip-flopped for most of the season. So that's just when I looked at the roster shuffle, I was like, huh, are you sure about this? Well, we'll see how it goes. It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, no, sorry, go ahead.
no, after you.
No, I was just going to say, I feel like maybe the thing is with those 2 players that you could argue that Ori has more of a history where he wasn't flip-flopping, right? So even though the recent stuff from both of them might kind of be at a similar level, maybe as a team you can still sort of say, well, he's got it in him. We know that Ori's had sort of these runs where he has been a dominant mid laner. So you're playing for the fact that he's going to be able to bring back that magic again.
So they believe in him more.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's got to be it, right? You just know that this Ori as a player, he can do it. Recent results, whatever. Maybe there's real life issues or just team issues. We get him in our squad. We're going to be able to make him play like the Ori of the past.
I'd love to see Ori back at peak Ori. It's just part of me has a feeling about it.
I think that team had personal level issues with White Album. I don't want to say anything that isn't speaking for the team, but I think they have considered replacing him or switching him out for a while. It was not something new after TI.
Does it have to do with his hero puddle?
I think it's just mainly his gameplay. It didn't mesh with them. I have a very good reason to believe that at one point there was possibility they were going to get Sumail to go and play on Aster.
That would have been crazy.
Who doesn't speak any Chinese?
I was going to say the language barrier, because it's not just that he doesn't speak any Chinese, it's also that the rest doesn't really speak any English.
Yes. So it was just
both ways.
You get Sumail, he goes mid, ping a rune. Maybe he destroys the guy hard enough. I have a high confidence in that rumor, but
that's fine. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I think they had issues as a team in terms of him gelling with the other people or seeing eye to eye for a while. So to me, it's not surprising. I think they just took whoever they believed in most.
Now I'm sad that didn't happen.
It would have been interesting.
It would have been super interesting.
Cool.
There's not a lot of Western players that have gone to China or been successful.
Like, I don't know if it would have worked or not, but it would be really cool to see if it would work or not. So
I feel like it would not have worked.
You never know.
Yeah, I feel like that would be one of those things where it sounds really cool and then it happens, and then like after a month of play, it ceases happening anymore, and it's like, why?
Or the other way around, get this guy out. Yeah. And we are going to have a lot of fun with a lot of games still upcoming and a lot of Dota still to be played. This was the DPC TLDR. We hope you're a little bit wiser compared to when you first tuned in today. And we hope that we were able to fill your maybe a little bit of a knowledge gap if you weren't able to watch all the games all the time. We'll try to keep you up to date. Any feedback is also welcome, as this is a very new show. So no idea where you can go with that feedback. The comments. Tweets.
Yeah, they can post in the comments.
Yeah.
So there were some comments on the first episode, like on YouTube.
Yeah.
Say hi on YouTube.
Hello. But yeah, do all of that. Tune back in next time round, and make sure you stay hydrated and safe. Sounds very good. So I hope you'll have a lovely time. We'll see you on the show next time.
I know you're not happy there. You ain't happy anywhere. Tell me, did you even care? In case you didn't know it, maybe you should go and read between the lines. I'm doing just fine without you in my life. The way you did me, baby, is right. What you give is what you get. You ain't gave me no respect. Tell me, what did you expect? I had to keep my heart in check. Karma can be ruthless. Careful what you do when you do it. Playing all these games, I might lose it. Now I'm through it, so I'm chucking up the deuces. So I'm chucking up the bye-bye. So I'm chucking up the deuces. So I'm chucking up the bye-bye. So I'm chucking up the deuces. You disrespect money. There just can't be no way. You love her the same way you love me. You must be insane. What you give is what you get. You ain't gave me no respect. Tell me, what did you expect? Had to keep my heart in check. Karma can be ruthless. Careful what you do when you do it. Playing all these games, I might lose it. Now I'm through it, so I'm chucking up the deuces. So I'm chucking up the bye-bye. So I'm chucking up the deuces. So I'm chucking up the bye-bye. So I'm chucking up the deuces. No more lies, baby, no more. No more time, baby, no more. No more crying, baby, no more. No more. Karma can be ruthless. Careful what you do when you do it. Playing all these games, I might lose it. Now I'm through it, so I'm chucking up the deuces. So I'm chucking up the bye-bye. So I'm chucking up the deuces. So I'm chucking up the bye-bye. So I'm chucking up the deuces.
Hey there, heartbreaker, you can fall asleep on window panes as you're driven to distraction by all the colors passing by. Hey there, subtlety, you got